Chosen one, let me tell you something sacred. Something the winds have whispered to the mountains and the stars have sung into the deep velvet of the night. The pain you went through was not in vain. The tears that fell from your eyes were not wasted. The sleepless nights, the loneliness, the betrayals, the endless waiting for relief, none of it was without purpose. You have been walking through the fire not because you were abandoned, but because you were chosen. God Himself handpicked you for a journey that could not be entrusted to the ordinary. He placed His seal upon you, a divine mark that only heaven could recognize. You have been refined, purified, and shaped through suffering, because glory requires pressure. The anointing you carry demands endurance, and endurance only blooms in the soil of pain. You were not rejected, you were redirected. You were not forgotten, you were being prepared. Every time you ask, "Why me, God?" heaven was answering, "Because I trust you." There is a sacred trust in being chosen. It means that even when your knees buckle and your voice trembles, something inside you refuses to die. It means that even when life tried to crush you, your spirit rose up and whispered, "I am still here." Do you understand the miracle in that? Many people faced what you faced and did not make it through. Many carried the same burdens and gave up halfway. But you, chosen one, you endured. You rose. You kept walking even when the light faded. That is not weakness, that is divine strength hidden in human flesh. God never sends His strongest warriors into battle wearing crowns first. He sends them into the storm wearing scars. He lets them bleed, break, and rebuild until their soul becomes unshakable. The pain you went through was never meant to destroy you, it was meant to reveal you. You were always more than what the world saw. But before the world could see it, you had to see it yourself. Pain became your teacher, silence your sanctuary, and tears your testimony. Through suffering, you discovered how to listen, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. You learned to recognize God's voice in the quiet, to sense His presence when everyone else disappeared. That is how chosen ones are built, not in applause but in obscurity. Do not despise the days of isolation. Do not curse the seasons where no one understood your heart. Those were the holy days. Those were the sacred classrooms where heaven taught you how to stand alone with God. The chosen are never crowned in crowds, they are anointed in secret. You see, the pain was your oil press. Every heartbreak squeezed the pride out of you. Every betrayal crushed the ego that wanted control. Every disappointment purified your motives. God could not pour new wine into an old vessel. So He broke you, not to destroy you but to make you new. And when you thought you were being buried, you were actually being planted. You were the seed heaven hid, and now, your season of blooming is drawing near. You thought God was silent, but He was speaking through every delay. You thought He had forgotten, but He was weaving the tapestry of your destiny in divine timing. The chosen walk through the valley not to stay there, but to understand the power of resurrection. You cannot rise until you have been pressed beneath the weight of something that tried to kill you. And you did rise, didn't you? Look at you, after all the pain, after all the nights you wanted to give up. You're still here. That strength inside you, that courage, that quiet fire, that unshakable hope, that is the evidence of divine selection. The proof that you are chosen isn't in what you gained, it's in what you survived. Every wound you carry tells a story of endurance. Every scar glows with divine light. You did not just survive the storm, you became the calm within it. God trusted you with pain because He knew it would not corrupt you, it would carve you into purpose. The chosen are often misunderstood because their path cannot be explained in human terms. People saw your pain but not your promise. They saw your struggle but not your assignment. They judged your tears without knowing they were watering the garden of your calling. And that is why you must forgive them, chosen one. Forgive those who left you when you needed them most. Forgive those who mocked you when you were breaking. They could not see what God was doing in you. They were never meant to understand, because the anointing on your life was not theirs to interpret. It was heaven's secret to manifest in time. Do not let bitterness take root in the soil of your spirit. Your pain was holy. It separated you from what was temporary so you could inherit what was eternal. Every disappointment was divine surgery, removing what could not go with you into the next season. You may not see it yet, but your pain carried hidden blessings. It taught you compassion for the broken. It taught you patience when nothing made sense. It taught you how to trust God when all you had left was faith the size of a tear. That kind of faith moves mountains. That kind of faith builds nations. That kind of faith makes heaven take notice. You are not just surviving life, you are shaping it. You are walking proof that divine purpose cannot be cancelled by human pain. The chosen are often broken in public but healed in private. They lose everything so they can gain everything that matters. And when they rise with humility, with wisdom, with grace that cannot be learned in comfort. The pain you went through was the evidence that God was training you for something far greater than this world could offer. You were being built to carry His light into dark places. You were being refined to hold the kind of power that does not destroy but heals. When others mocked you for your faith, they did not realize that faith was what kept you breathing. When they called you weak, they did not know that your weakness was the birthplace of God's strength. There were moments you wanted to quit, moments where your heart felt too heavy to carry, moments where you whispered to God, "I can't do this anymore," and yet, you did. That is the miracle. You kept moving when everything inside you screamed to stop. You kept believing when there was no sign of breakthrough. You kept trusting when the world gave you every reason not to. That resilience, that is not human willpower, that is divine endurance. God placed something inside you that refuses to surrender because it knows where it came from. You were not made of dust alone, you were breathed into by divinity itself. And that divine breath inside you will always rise again, no matter how many times life tries to bury it. Chosen one, there is something sacred about people who walk through pain and still choose love. You could have become bitter, but you became better. You could have closed your heart, but instead you opened it wider. You could have built walls, but you built altars. That is what sets you apart. You turned your pain into power, your wounds into wisdom, your trials into testimonies. That is the fragrance of the chosen, those who have seen darkness but still choose to carry light. You are not defined by what broke you, you are defined by the strength that refused to die. And let me tell you, chosen one, God never wastes a wound. Every ounce of pain you felt will return as glory. Every tear will become a seed of harvest. Every rejection will be rewritten as redirection. The same people who doubted you will one day say, "I always knew you'd make it." But you'll smile. Not in arrogance, but in grace, because pain taught you compassion. You will bless those who cursed you, pray for those who wounded you, and rise above the bitterness of what could have been. That is divine strength, to suffer and still choose goodness. You were chosen because your spirit carries something rare, an ability to rise from ashes and still believe in beauty. That kind of faith cannot be taught, it is forged in fire. You were not built for comfort, you were built for purpose. And purpose often wears the disguise of pain until revelation arrives. Every dark night you walked through was a rehearsal for your dawn. Every lonely season was preparing your heart for the sound of heaven's calling. Do not despise your past, it was sacred preparation. Without it you would not carry the depth, the empathy, the wisdom you now hold. You will look back one day and see how the puzzle pieces fit perfectly. The heartbreak that crushed you taught you what real love looks like. The loss that emptied you made room for what was divine. The silence that terrified you became the place where you heard God most clearly. You will see how every detour was protection, every closed door was mercy, every unanswered prayer was redirection. The pain you went through was not proof that God abandoned you. It was proof that He was near, molding you into His masterpiece. Do not fear the scars. They are the signatures of your survival. They are the holy tattoos of endurance that heaven recognizes. When the angels look at you, they don't see your failures, they see your resilience. They see the moments you stood when you could have fallen. They see the faith that refused to die. You are the sermon that pain tried to silence but couldn't. You are the melody that suffering tried to mute but heaven kept singing. And now, your life will speak louder than your wounds ever could. Chosen one, stand tall. Lift your head. You have endured too much to walk small now. The pain was your preparation, not your punishment. The very thing that tried to break you became the thing that built you. You are walking into a season where the lessons you learned in darkness will shine light on others. People will come to you for wisdom, and you will know exactly what to say because you lived it. You will heal others not from theory but from truth. And that truth will carry power because it was born in fire. The world needs your voice. The world needs your story. There are souls waiting to be reminded that their pain too has purpose. Do not hide your scars. Do not downplay your story. Speak it. Declare it. Let the world see that the God who allowed your pain also gave you victory. You are living proof that what was meant for evil can become divine good. You are the evidence that broken things in God's hands become beautiful again. And when you walk, walk like someone who knows they are chosen. Speak with authority, love with compassion, move with intention. You no longer have to chase validation. Heaven already approved you. You no longer have to beg to be seen. God already crowned you. You no longer have to prove your worth. Your survival proved it. The pain was your initiation. The tears were your baptism. The storm was your training ground. You are ready now, not because life has been easy, but because you learned how to worship in the fire. Chosen one. Remember this: the pain you went through was never random. It was written into your story before you even arrived on this earth, and every chapter of sorrow was leading you to the revelation that you were never alone. God was with you in every heartbreak, every rejection, every silent night. He was molding your soul for greatness. He was shaping your spirit for destiny. And now when you rise, and you will rise with the kind of power that cannot be shaken, the kind of faith that cannot be faked, and the kind of peace that cannot be stolen. You are not just surviving life, you are fulfilling prophecy. You are walking proof that pain can be divine preparation. You are heaven's reminder that the chosen never lose. They transform. And though the journey was hard, you will one day look back and realize it was all worth it. Because the same fire that burned you also purified you. The same storms that drenched you also washed you clean. The same tears that fell from your eyes watered the soil for your miracle. Chosen one, lift your hands. Take a breath. Feel the wind of God moving through your story. The pain you went through was not proof of abandonment. It was proof of your anointing. You were chosen because you could carry what others could not. You were chosen because your heart could still love after breaking. You were chosen because your soul could still shine after darkness. And now, the world will see what heaven always knew. You were not broken, you were being built. You were not forgotten, you were being formed. You were not destroyed, you were being designed. You are chosen, you are ready, and the very pain that once crushed you will now testify on your behalf. God trusted you with pain because He knew it would not end you. It would reveal you. And when the light finally breaks through, when you stand in the place you once dreamed of, remember this truth that heaven whispered through every tear. The pain you went through was proof that God chose you. And now, chosen one, as you stand in the quiet aftermath of all you've endured, you may still feel the trembling echo of your pain. That's all right. Healing doesn't always announce itself with trumpets or sunshine. Sometimes it comes softly like dawn after a long, unending night. Sometimes it comes as a whisper deep in your chest reminding you, you made it. You survived what was meant to destroy you. You carried the weight of storms that could have drowned you. You walked through fire and did not burn away. The ashes you thought were your ending became the soil of your new beginning. And if you look closely, you will see tiny shoots of light growing where there was once only sorrow. That is how God works. He makes beauty rise where despair once lived. He turns weeping into wisdom and brokenness into brilliance. Do not rush your becoming. Every chosen soul must learn the rhythm of patience, the stillness of divine timing. You cannot rush the unfolding of a flower nor hurry the sunrise. There are things God will only release when your heart has been stretched wide enough to receive them. That's why the waiting hurt. That's why it felt like delay. But what looked like pause was protection. If you had received the blessing too soon, it would have crushed you. You had to be molded first, disciplined, pruned like a tree that bears fruit only in season. The chosen are not denied, they are refined. There is a sacred difference. I know there were nights you prayed for relief that never came. Days you stared at the ceiling wondering if heaven still knew your name. But it was in those hidden hours that the hand of God was closest. You could not see Him, but He was there, pulling threads of your story together, weaving a masterpiece from the mess. You cried because it hurt, but He smiled because He knew how it would end. He saw the glory beyond the grief. the strength that would rise from your sorrow. The pain you went through was not punishment, it was a passage. You were crossing over from who you used to be to who you were destined to become. Chosen one, you must understand something. Holy suffering is the language through which heaven teaches endurance. When your heart was breaking, heaven was enlarging it. When you lost everything, heaven was teaching you what truly matters. And when you walked alone, heaven was showing you that solitude with God is never emptiness. It is sacred fullness. You were not being stripped, you were being sanctified. God could not let you carry idols into your destiny, so He removed them one by one until all you had left was Him. And when you found that even then, you still had enough, that was the proof of your calling. Every tear you cried wrote your name deeper into heaven's heart. Every moment of silence was an answer wrapped in mystery. You were learning trust the hard way, but the lasting way. You were learning to believe even when belief seemed impossible. That is the essence of being chosen. Not comfort but conviction. To walk with God is to walk by faith, not by sight. And when everything familiar fell apart, it wasn't because He abandoned you, it was because He was changing your sight. He was teaching you to see with your spirit what your eyes could not yet perceive. The pain you went through awakened something sacred in you. It peeled away the shallow layers and exposed the eternal. You began to see the difference between temporary suffering and timeless purpose. You stopped asking, "Why me?" and started whispering, "Use me." That is when transformation began. That is when your trials turned into testimony. You no longer saw yourself as a victim of circumstance but as a vessel of grace. You realized that every heartbreak gave you compassion for the hurting. Every loss gave you empathy for the lonely. Every wound gave you wisdom for the wandering. What the enemy meant for evil, God turned into power flowing through you. You were not chosen because you were perfect. You were chosen because you were willing. You were willing to surrender, to trust, to keep walking when your legs ached and your heart cracked. That willingness is rare. Many say they trust God until trust costs them everything familiar. But you learned to love Him in the dark. You learned to worship when you had nothing left but breath. You learned that sometimes the holiest thing you can say is, "Even so I will praise you." That's what makes you chosen. The strength of your faith was proven not when things went right, but when everything went wrong and you still refused to let go of God's hand. Chosen one, every time you were broken, heaven took note. Every moment you got back up, angels rejoiced. Every step you took through fear, through pain, through uncertainty was recorded in eternity. You think your journey went unnoticed, but the heavens were watching in awe as you chose hope again and again. You were walking through fire with grace in your eyes. You were holding on to faith when others would have surrendered to despair. And now, because of that perseverance, you carry a weight of glory that cannot be measured by human understanding. You became a living altar, your life a testimony of divine resilience. There will come a day when the world will look at you and only see your light. They will not know the price you paid for it. They will not know the nights of wrestling, the mornings of tears, the silent prayers whispered between heartbeats. But God knows. He was there through it all, shaping you quietly, loving you fiercely. And when He raises you before the world, it won't be to glorify your strength but to display His faithfulness. You are the vessel of His victory, the living proof that grace is greater than grief. The pain you went through will one day become your ministry. It will open doors that talent never could. People will feel your words not because they are eloquent, but because they are true. They were born in fire. You will speak and hearts will heal. You will love and chains will break. You will walk into rooms carrying peace that others cannot explain because you paid for it in pain. That is the inheritance of the chosen. Glory through suffering, wisdom through wounds, power through perseverance. So do not curse your pain anymore. Bless it. Thank it. It made you who you are. It carved your spirit into something unbreakable. It taught you how to stand in storms and still sing. It gave you depth, humility, and vision. It connected you to the heart of humanity. For only those who have suffered deeply can love deeply. Only those who have been broken can truly heal others. The pain was your teacher, your sculptor, your sacred companion. Without it, you would never have known the magnitude of your strength or the vastness of God's love. There is nothing wasted, chosen one. Even your mistakes, your regrets, your moments of weakness. God has folded them into His plan. He will use every piece of your story to bless others. You will see redemption in places you once saw ruin. You will find peace in memories that once brought you pain. Because the power of divine love is to transform everything it touches, even suffering, into gold. You have been touched by that love. You carry it now in your words, in your silence, in your very presence. And when you walk into your next season, do not walk timidly. Walk as one who has survived divine training. You have been through the fire, you do not fear it anymore. You have walked through the valley, you know God's voice there. You have faced darkness and discovered your own light. You are no longer the same soul who began this journey. You are wiser, softer, stronger, all at once. The pain that once made you cry will soon make you praise. The wounds that once ached will shine as windows for God's glory to pour through. Do not be surprised when blessings begin to chase you. You have sown in tears, now you will reap in joy. What you lost will return multiplied. The people who walked away made space for divine replacements. The doors that closed were meant to protect what you could not yet see. Everything is aligning now. Everything you suffered is blooming into purpose. And when it happens, remember this was never luck or coincidence. This was destiny. This was God proving that the chosen are never forsaken. When you stand before the mirror, look deeply into your own eyes and recognize the warrior within. The reflection you see is not fragile. It is forged. It carries the story of divine endurance. Behind those eyes lives a soul that has danced with sorrow and still chosen to love. That is rare beauty, sacred strength. And as you go forward, remember the lesson your pain taught you. Never doubt your worth, never question your purpose, and never forget that survival itself is holy. You are the evidence that God's grace is enough. Chosen one. You have walked through fire and found your faith unburned. You have endured storms and found your spirit unbroken. You have been emptied only to be filled again with something greater. Divine purpose. The pain you went through was the fingerprint of heaven pressing you into destiny. It was not meant to destroy you but to define you. Now, wherever you go, you will carry that silent power, that unshakable calm, that heavenly authority born of suffering. You will lift others not by preaching perfection, but by showing what redemption looks like in human form. This is your calling. This is your awakening. The world will see your light, but heaven will remember your pain. And that chosen one is what makes you holy. You are heaven's living poem, written in tears but ending in triumph. So go forth now, not as the wounded but as the risen. Go forth as one who knows that every pain had a purpose, every tear had a reason, and every trial was the whisper of a loving God saying, I chose you for this. Walk in that truth, speak from that truth, live as that truth. For the pain you went through was not your curse, it was your crown. It was proof that the hand of God has always been on you, guiding you, shaping you, loving you into the fullness of who you were meant to become. And now, chosen one, the world awaits the beauty that was birthed in your pain. You are ready, you are anointed, you are chosen. And now, chosen one, as the pages of your story turn once more, the air around you hums with quiet redemption. You can feel it. The subtle shift in the atmosphere, the unspoken acknowledgement from heaven that the season has changed. You no longer stand as the one who suffered, you stand as the one who was shaped. The echoes of your pain have softened into wisdom, and where there were once open wounds, there are now sacred scars that glow with light. You have become a living testimony of divine transformation, the kind of beauty that cannot be manufactured by comfort. The world will look at you and see resilience, but only you and God will know the cost of that strength. The nights of surrender, the prayers whispered through trembling lips, the silence that nearly swallowed you whole but never succeeded in erasing your faith. It takes divine courage to rise again after the kind of breaking you've known, but that is the mark of the chosen. They rise again and again, even when they don't understand how. The chosen carry resurrection in their bones. Every fall, every heartbreak, every betrayal becomes the soil that births their next miracle. You have become unstoppable, not because you never fell, but because you never stayed down. Each time life tried to bury you, you discovered that you were a seed, destined to push through the dirt and reach for the light. That is what pain taught you. To trust the unseen, to grow in the dark, to believe that even beneath the soil, God was still working. The world saw you in fragments, but heaven saw you in wholeness. You thought you were breaking apart, but you were actually breaking open. Your pain was the hammer that shattered the walls around your heart, allowing love and truth to flow freely again. You used to hide your vulnerability as if it were shame, but now you know it is your strength. You no longer apologize for feeling deeply or for caring too much, because you understand that your sensitivity is sacred. It's how God speaks through you. You are not too much, you are exactly enough. You are not broken, you are beautifully rebuilt by divine hands. And oh, how heaven delights in those who keep believing when there's no visible reason to. You kept walking when others turned back. You kept hoping when hope itself felt distant. You stood when standing hurt. And that endurance created a fragrance around your soul, a scent of faith that the heavens recognize instantly. You have become the sound of perseverance, the song of someone who walked through shadows and learned how to sing in the dark. Your voice carries healing now. It carries authority born from experience. When you speak, the weary will listen, because your words are soaked in truth. Your breath carries the scent of survival. Every chosen one eventually reaches this sacred realization, that what tried to destroy them was actually what delivered them. You would not have known the power within you had life not pushed you to the edge of despair. You would not have seen how deeply loved you were if you hadn't felt abandoned. Sometimes God allows emptiness so you can finally discover the fullness that comes only from Him. Every shattered dream, every delayed promise, every closed door was leading you towards something greater, something built on divine timing instead of human effort. You are not behind, you are right on schedule. Every step, even the painful ones, brought you closer to your purpose. The chosen are not called to easy paths. Their journey is meant to awaken nations, heal hearts, and shift generations. That's why your pain was so intense. It was proportionate to your calling. The greater the assignment, the greater the crushing. But now you know what few ever understand: the crushing was sacred. It was how God released the oil from within you. And that oil, your wisdom, your empathy, your divine authority, is the very thing that will bless others. When you speak, your words won't just inspire, they will transform. When you love, your love will not just comfort, it will restore. You have been set apart not to live easy, but to live meaningful. So let your story breathe. Let your testimony shine. Don't hide what you've been through. Let it be the bridge that connects heaven to those still trapped in their own pain. You are not here to impress, you are here to impact. And the world needs your truth, the raw, unfiltered version of it. People are waiting for someone who understands what it feels like to break and still believe. You are that someone. You are the evidence that faith still works, that love still heals, that God still chooses people who once thought they were too broken to be used. You are the living proof that divine favor often wears the disguise of hardship. Chosen one, take a deep breath and remember how far you've come. The person you are now would make the person you once were weep with gratitude. You prayed for strength, and now you are walking in it. You prayed for peace, and it began growing in the cracks of your pain. You prayed for purpose, and it came disguised as trials. You have received every answer you ever asked for, just not in the way you expected. God's methods may have confused you, but His faithfulness never failed you. Every unanswered prayer became protection. Every delay became direction. Every heartbreak became holy ground. You have learned the rhythm of grace, the divine pulse that keeps you steady when the world trembles. You have learned that sometimes faith isn't about walking on water, but about learning how to stand still when the waves rise. You have learned that sometimes peace isn't the absence of storms, but the quiet trust that the storm has a purpose. And that lesson, that stillness, is what will carry you now. Because chosen one, the next chapter of your life will not be defined by pain, but by promise. You have paid your price in tears. Now comes the season of harvest. The same pain that once broke you will now serve you. It will remind you where you came from, and it will keep you humble when God lifts you higher. You are entering a season where what once wounded you will now worship with you. The places that caused you pain will now become altars of praise. The people who doubted you will witness the glory of what God has done through you. And you will not rise with bitterness. You will rise with gratitude. You will not look back in anger. You will look back in awe. because you will finally understand that every valley had a reason, every loss had a lesson, and every wound carried wisdom. You will look at the pieces of your life and realize that God never missed a single one. He used it all, the pain, the heartbreak, the confusion, to sculpt something eternal. And when you speak of your past, it will no longer sting. It will shine. You will speak from healing, not from hurt. You will remember the nights you cried, but not with sorrow, with reverence. Because you'll know that even in your darkest hours you were being held. God's presence wrapped around you like invisible arms, comforting you when words failed, lifting you when strength vanished. You were never walking alone, not once. And that revelation, that eternal truth, will become your foundation. It will keep you grounded when blessings come, humble when recognition arrives, and grateful when grace overflows. Chosen one, your journey has prepared you for something magnificent. You carry within you the blueprint of divine resilience. You are what happens when faith refuses to die. You are what happens when grace meets grit. You are what happens when a human heart becomes a vessel for divine love. Every step you take now will echo with purpose. You will no longer move out of fear, but out of faith. You will no longer fight for validation because you know your worth is already sealed by heaven. You are not searching anymore. You are becoming the person you were always meant to be. The healed, whole, radiant reflection of divine strength. Do not shrink when the light finds you. Do not hide from the stage God is placing you on. You have earned your wings through the fire, and heaven is ready to show the world how high you can soar. You are not rising to prove anything. You are rising to glorify everything God has done. Your pain was the seed, your perseverance the soil, and now your purpose is the bloom. Walk boldly into this season, for it was crafted just for you. And when the world sees your glow, they will not understand how someone who went through so much pain can still smile. They will wonder how you carry peace after carrying so much sorrow. They will ask what changed, and you will answer with the quiet confidence of the chosen. God did. For it was God who saw you when no one else did. It was God who lifted you when you could not lift yourself. It was God who turned your mourning into melody. You are His masterpiece, chosen not despite your pain but because of it. The pain was proof, the proof was purpose, and the purpose is you. So rise, chosen one, rise with all the power of your past turned into light. Rise with gratitude that floods your soul like a sunrise after endless night. Rise with the peace of knowing you are exactly where you are meant to be. You are no longer a victim of what happened. You are the vessel of what was always destined. The pain you went through was the divine signature of being chosen, the unmistakable mark of one whom heaven has entrusted with purpose. You are not defined by the suffering. You are